Alright, so I'm going to get this off. We have a generator on the back of the trailer. It's not what I kind of anticipated doing this morning because it was hiring one out, but things have kind of changed and they ended up buying a generator. I have an electrician there at the moment that we can switch from mains to generator because you don't want to be sending current back the line because the ESB crowd, power line company, will be working on the lines if the power goes off, and you certainly don't want to be driving any power back the line. So he'll be putting in it's a separator switch, I think the name of it. He's wiring that in there now to the meter, and that means we can hook up our generator anytime, turn it on, it's safe to do so, and it should be quite straightforward. But we have to get it put together because we have a mountain of stuff to do here today, and it's already gone to 2 o'clock before I got back with that machine, so I need to really get the finger out now and get it done. Instructions, everything out in front of us. This guy sits like that. Howdy! Oh, the light's still gone. I'm in Mickle Parlour, can you see me at all? All the doors closed in here. My good wife Sinead has all the doors all barred up, and I'm going out here to the yard and I'm opening them all. But I'll remember to close them. What I'm at here is I'm looking at a heifer here, and she's annoying me. It's not her fault, it's just sometimes things frustrate you, but she is into calve. She's one of the nicest heifers we've had in a while. Bones is gone. She's going to calve in the dead of the night tonight. The major problem is that there's a red warning in the country tonight, but real height of it between 4 o'clock and 10, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. So she can't stay here. You have till 1 o'clock, my lady, and if you don't do nothing, you're going back into the slatted house. I'll have to move cows out of this pen here in the slatted shed and move them across here in with the other cows and just let her calve in that area there and just keep the camera on her. Because that wall is not safe. And that wall will fall in on top of her when she goes to calve. So I need to get the tractor, which is sitting here eagerly waiting, and I need to get the shear grab up against that wall till we do a job on that in the summertime. We will fix it this summertime. Now, I didn't get to speak to you earlier on about what sits here, and it's sitting here just to keep it away from any wind and rain tonight. It's in a sheltered little spot here. But this is the generator that I bought. It may be put to work tomorrow. There's a very high chance that our power is going to be off. I just have to put a PTO shaft onto it. I'm not going to talk about brands or whatever because then you'll think that I got a discount on this. So I avoid saying where I got it. I bought this completely as an ordinary customer, and it costs quite a few pounds. It's an 18 kVA output, so it's not the biggest output. A lot of these PTO ones start off around 27 kVA, but we got our farm checked to see what we would need. To have plenty of surplus, 16 kVA is what we need. We need very little to run our farm. There's not an awful lot of stuff. There's no electric scrapers or anything like that. Our parlour's very basic. Milking machine motor is 2.2 kilowatts, so it doesn't take much to run it. And we don't have to run although this can do it, we don't have to run a cooler and a milking machine at the one time. So that's why we went with this one here. It looks a very, very solid system. It's got its own breaker here as well. Here, so you have a 125 amp socket here, you have a 32 amp socket here, and then you've got, I'm not sure what that is. I'll have to look at it in the light tomorrow. I never even give it a look over at all. But you remember what happened in our milking parlour where we lost power for several days and our cows wasn't milked. It got to be an emergency because we could not find a generator anywhere. So that's why I mentioned in the video way back that I'm going to get one eventually. And I just said, you know what, today, when I was sitting outside the place ready to go in to hire it, I made a phone call. The guy said there was only one left. My mother was actually with me. And she said, why are you putting yourself through all this running? You've enough to be at. You know what, sometimes you listen to your parents, and this time was my mother. My father also said to get a generator at some stage. Don't be putting yourself, because he sees how stressful it can be when your power is off, because you rely on it so heavily here on a farm. This goes in a certain way. That's it there. Should tighten in. That's hot. Here goes. We don't. That'll be more like it. Yeah, we have power. There we go. Well, that was much easier than I thought it would be. I thought there was something wrong at the beginning, but it was actually the breaker switch trip. This trip coming from the factory. I can't tell you how nice it is to hear a machine run, because the word on the radio is we could have no power for quite a few days. We even have the cooler running simultaneously at the one time. We have the water pump on for the washdown unit. Everything's on and it's not taking a fidge out of it so far. That's a big difference from what we went through the last time. Alright, so now the milking is done. So we need to start clearing this upper calving pen, because we have 3 cows possibly calving the night. And it's time to take into it. We haven't got any time to spare. So we're going to just gather up all these blocks here and gather up everything we can. Some of them we're going to have to break off that meter box to take the pressure that's on the wires being pulled from that meter box. I hope nothing's broken. So yeah, no time to spare. Let's tear into this. The poor light was in the back of the balcony. We're just here in the calving pen. We're carrying out repairs. I hope you can hear me, because my assistants, or lovely assistants, are here behind me, but with the tractor running with the generator on, we still have no power, but we're trying to brace this calving pen. And because we're due another storm tomorrow, believe it or not, another one. Not just as bad, nowhere near as bad, hopefully, but it's still a storm. So what I'm doing is, I had an old girder here, or a H-beam. I cut a lump off it, I cut 2 lumps off it, and I welded it on there. That wooden beam that's there fits exactly into that groove. I'm going to weld another one on here, on this side. We're going to push this roof out, because this roof has got bent in with the wind. It's very hard to see it now with the camera, but it needs to be pushed back that way. I'm running a laser level up there. That's it up on the beam there. So there is my laser level. If you can see the green line, a bit hard to see it in the daylight, but there's it up there now. It'll show me exactly where to get it level for the next one to weld on. So I'm going to stick that weld on now. Really in a rush here to get this job done, because the evening's ticking on, because we have to get this all sorted as well, and it's already 4 o'clock in the evening. So I'm going to weld that on now, and then we're going to lift this beam up. We're going to slot it into place and push this whole thing back out again, and that will hold this roof secure until I get a steel beam and put it in place of that timber, and then she'll never move again. So you can see the way this whole thing will shake now, look. It's really very lucky that the whole thing didn't come down. That pier should have went straight to the ground, and there wouldn't have been any issue with the wall at all. But anyway, we'll not cry about spilt milk, we'll just fix the problem. For a quick job, I have to say that'll be solid, very solid, because the two pieces now are joined together. I'm not going to bolt it tonight. I'm going to drill 2 holes on it tomorrow. I'm out of time here on the heifer, too close to calving. So I'm just going to ratchet strap right around it on both sides. But you can see it's a lovely tight fit there. And it's bang on right up against both sides. So I can let the strain of that come back now on top of it. And that's it, that'll hold everything together. Ruby now is in the lower calving pen. We're not using the upper one, we just fire the straw up to this side. I always prefer this one because there's a great view of both cameras and the PTZ. That's why I always use the upper pen, but we do have 2 pens. So to avoid having a root at this here tonight, we're just going to put her in here, which is lovely and sheltered. She's checking the place out now. Our meter box, which controls a lot of our calving equipment for this, calving camera equipment for this section of the farmyard, it was in the wall. And it was great that it didn't rip the wires out of it or nothing. And we were able to put it up, bolted to that beam above, and that's actually where it's going to stay because it'll be much safer there. And hopefully when the power does come back on the internet, it'll work. Fingers crossed. Today's job, you can see I've got 3 sheets of skylight. I think we could weigh 1. I don't think the other one's broken. We'll see how it goes on. Jerry's coming now, mate of mine. The Ford 4000 man, that's what we call him, Jerry. But he's coming now at dinner time, which is probably about half an hour. And he's going to replace them sheets, skylights, both here and on that house there. We've got some straw here, which is spread out underneath that skylight. We spread out because it's a nice wee wind today. And we're letting it dry out again because that bedding got wet. It's just a bale, about a half bale there that's just spread out. A lot of water coming down here and running straight down onto that calving pen, which left it very, very wet. So when he has that fixed and I get this wall fixed now in the next few hours, we'll be back then to our old routine of having our cows in here. When you get a phone call like that where you don't really want to answer, tell them when you're on a roof and you're hanging off it and you're in a very, very dangerous place, and it all rests on their head if you fall off it because they're distracting you, and usually you get them off the phone fairly quickly. Works a treat. So I want to put this along here. I might actually drop it down one because them blocks are loose, that top row, but this one isn't. So I might just set it down. I'll have to see what's like on the inside. We've got loads of room to spare, so I'm going to drop it down a notch, bolt it to this rather than here, and then bring it the whole way across here, a couple of sheets, and that should leave us all right. I'll have to get a couple of anchor bolts now. I have them in the quad behind the wall here. I'm going to just drill a few holes on this and then just anchor them straight into the wall. Never going to move. Back a little bit from where it overlaps, I'm going to put a gutter bolt here and just join this to this. Right, so we got our little gutter bolt here. I can take this off, it's not doing anything now. Because it is supporting the inside. I'm going to bolt that anyway now shortly, so this can come off. Alright, so before I can put the next one on, these 2 blocks here are an issue. I need to get rid of them. Oh, yeah. There she goes. Right, we're starting to get a bit of heat again in here because the wind that was coming through there would cut you in two. Now, can I get the nuts and end of these, and more importantly, can I get them to tighten? I'm just going to have to try here. Just tighten it up a bit. Right, I'm not going to bore you with all that. I'm going to stick the rest of them on here and tighten them as much as I can by hand, and maybe the impact will tighten them enough. Right, so that's that job done. That's well secured. That's never going to move. There's nothing's going to pull that down. And it should be grand now on the inside. Once we have that beam going across, there's no way that roof is going to move anymore. It's not going to push in on that. So this beam here, we have to put 2 bolts on either end to secure it in place. At the minute, it's just sitting there, and there's the ratchet strap that's holding everything together. But before I go rooting at that, there's another thing I want to fix here. There is a wire sitting here, which is dead now at the minute. Here it is. You can pull it down. There it is there. That wire needs to go out through that, and we need to put back in our light. We used to have a light outside. Just when we're taking our cows down this way at night, it was nice to have a wee bit of a light to guide the cows down. The cows didn't like going out in the dark. We have one here, which is connected to that one, but none of this is working now because when the wall fell, the light was attached to it. Now, there's a beam there where them nails is going through. I'm just going to attach my bracket for my light there, run a wire through, and that'll get our lights working again. I have one of these old lights. This one could be broken. I don't know. I'm not know to test it, but there must have been some reason why it was taken off. Now, it's very hard to see it, but that light is actually on. And up here now we have the other one put much higher, so it's going to be out of the way of anything ever happening in the future. So that is our temporary job complete. It'll do now to the summertime, and we'll really tear into this and fix it right. Brilliant. That is that job done. We are officially back in business. Well, we were never really out of it. We had that one there, which was lucky, but it's nice to get our calving pen back. And last night, you can see the dampness here. The bolts were put on this morning, but everything else was done yesterday. You can see the way it's messed again because we had a heifer calve last night at about 12:30, and it was a siege. Not with the calving, that was easy. To get her out of that shed, she did not want to come out that door. No matter what we done, she would not go out that door. I don't know what the fright was. Sinead came up and gave me a hand, and we're at it for ages. We're nearly going to take this barrier off here and just let her cross the barrier because she'd nearly go over the barrier before she'd go out the door. But she did go in eventually, and we got her sorted. At the moment, we've 32 calved, 7 of which are heifers, so we've quite a bit to go yet, but we're nicely through them. And touch wood, things are going all right. There hasn't been any more drama since that very first cow, which still annoys me. As I call Jerry, Ford 4000 man, mate of mine, came up yesterday, put the skylights on, That's just a half a skylight that needed to be replaced on that one. But we also got the one fixed that was in here on the shed. You can see it there, the nice clean one. So that's everything sorted back to normal. Let's go do something else.